Hello and welcome to this another program in our series, if we can call it series, Development at Work with Audreyanna Thomas. I'm Audreyanna Thomas, and we'll be talking about development. And development must not only be seen, but it must also be felt. And so we're going to be talking on this program about developing an environmental industry in Guyana and community planning. Share the live for those of you who, if you have joined us, share the live. I'm going to put my number and my email in the chat so that you can contact me. My number is 592 592 694 5585. And my email is Tomo, THOMOGY at yahoo.com. Great. So we'll be talking about developing an environmental industry and community development planning. You know, very often as you look around you in Guyana, we tend to wait on the NDC, the RDC, the government to do community development for us. This program focuses on sort of reorienting residents in communities, reorienting families, and sort of providing you with information, with ideas, of projects, programs, and as to how you can build an environmental industry in your community and how you can do community development planning on your own. And so I'll start with the developing an environmental industry, and then I'm going to deal with community development planning and what you can do in your own community to build your dream community. I said on the 2 programs ago that this program here is a part of our Building Our Dream Guyana program. We have a dream for Guyana. And so this program will help you to build your dream Guyana. It also focuses on building our dream families, building our dream lives. We have dreams. And so how can we build our dream lives, build our dream families, build our dream communities? What can you do? What else can we do? Because I know that in many communities, people are doing things. But one, how can you build more structure into building your dream family? How can you build more structure into building your dream life? And then ultimately building our dream Guyana. So we're going to focus on building an environmental industry in communities, as well as building a service industry in communities. So what do I mean by building an environmental industry? In many communities, communities are flooding regularly. The drains are clogged, the bush is high, there is so much that needs to be done in communities as it relates to the environment, or as it relates to upgrading our communities. And so what can we do? And this is where I'm promoting a community-led approach. At the level of the family, what can we do? I'm promoting a family-led approach. And so at the community level, there are several, in addition to that, there this industry can also create employment in the community. So a few years ago, I worked on a program with support from, I worked as a consultant with the Pan American Health Organization in Guyana and the Ministry of, I think it was the Mayor and City Council, and I think it was the Ministry of Local Government at the time. And we developed a program that is called Cleanliness and Citizenship, Community-Led Total Sanitation Program, initiative. Now that initiative focused on the community taking the lead in terms of cleanliness and citizenship. And that program, we have a whole program with modules. And once I get some assistance with the technology, somebody was indicating to me that perhaps I can share some modules. So we have a lot of modules from that cleanliness and citizenship community-led total sanitation program. And we can share some of those modules and some of those activities that you can do in your communities. The other thing is, and that, mind you, that cleanliness and citizenship community-led total sanitation program, it was taken from community-led total sanitation program that is implemented in various countries, particularly African and Asian countries. I know that it was conceptualized by Dr. Kamal Kar from Bangladesh. I worked very closely with Dr. Kar. We've been on several trips promoting the cleanliness and the community-led total sanitation program. And the program was very effective in many of the African and Asian countries. But that program focused on reducing open human waste, right? Open defecation, so to speak. Our program in Guyana, Cleanliness and Citizenship, Community-Led Total Sanitation Program, focus on solid waste management. In Bangladesh and in the program, the community-led total sanitation program in the Asian and African countries that is being implemented in the Asian and African countries, focused on liquid waste, so to speak, or human waste. Our program, Cleanliness and Citizenship, Community-Led Total Sanitation, focuses on solid waste management. And it focuses on developing an open garbage. One second, I haven't I haven't worked on this program in a while, so it was just recently that I started to review it. So the idea of the Cleanliness and Citizenship community-led total sanitation program, it's a behavioral change program. It focuses on behavioral change, and it focuses on creating an open garbage disposal free Guyana. So how can we develop an open garbage disposal free Guyana? So that's the focus of the Cleanliness and Citizenship Community-Led Total Sanitation Program, the CNC CLTS program, which is slightly different from the Community-Led Total Sanitation Program that is implemented in the Asian and the African countries, which focuses on developing an open on addressing the human waste issue, right? So, or open human waste issue. So when we so what we would like to do, I'll be more than happy if your community is interested in implementing these programs. Give me a call. We'll be more than happy to work with you. The Building Our Dream Guyana movement will be more than happy to come into your community and work with you. And so under this program, it helps you to develop a structured program for your community, to develop your community as an open garbage disposal, an open garbage disposal free community, meaning that your community must be free from garbage disposal. And so that is one program that we're promoting. Under that program, there's several areas. I think there are about 11 different activities that could be implemented in your community as job creation, and it can create jobs for people. In one of my previous programs, I said that every community should have at least 4 persons who are doing landscaping. So but I'll get to that in a minute. So firstly, all things are created twice. Firstly, something is created in the mind. There is the mental creation. And so you think of an idea, and then you start to write that idea down. For people like me, I am who work on projects. I do planning, and so that idea is put into a plan, or it's put into a strategic plan. Sometimes it's put into, or let's say a plan. It's put into a plan, and then there's what we call an implementation plan. But we can say it's just something that you have that will tell you when you will do the activities that you have in the plan. I don't want it to be too complicated for you, because we're hoping that communities, the average person in the communities, can take these ideas and implement them. So you have the idea, then that idea is then put into a plan, and then you have what we call an implementation plan, or you could call it a list of things with timelines when you want to do these things, or when you want these things to be achieved. And so there is the mental creation. You think of something, you come up with the idea, you have a vision. And then the second creation is when you start to write that idea down. And then you said, within a month, 2 months, this is what I'd like to do. And then you see this idea become a reality. That's the mental creation and the physical creation. So as you look at your communities, one of the things we'd like to do, firstly, we'd like you to identify some people in your community who can lead the development of an environmental program in your community. It is not the NDC. I say not the NDC because we would like it to be community-led, not NDC-led, regional-led, government-led, but we would like it to be community-led. And when we develop that plan with you, or when you develop your plan, you can include in your plan who you want to work with. And who you want to work with, some people may say who you want to partner with. And then you can put in that, I'd like to work with, or we would like to work with the Ministry of Local Government. We would like to work with the NDC. We would like to work with the RDC. We would like to work with the businesses in our communities. We'd like to work with the people from the community who gone away and who want to do something for the community. We would want to work with the religious organizations in the community, the mosques, the temples, the churches. And then you develop that plan as to who you want to work with, what activities. So I'm going to share some of the activities that you can include in your plan. Some of the activities could be, so first of all, like I said, you need to have some structure, some kind of leadership. So a group of people who maybe volunteer to say, look, we want to organize our community to move from where it is now to become more environmentally friendly, to be more cleaner, to be more well kept. And so we and if you have that group and you would like for us to work with you, feel free to give me a call, send me a message, and we'll be more than happy to help you to develop this kind of industry, if I can call it that, in your community. And so some of the activities so after you have now that group that you've organized and you have your plan, you have the timelines within which you would like to do things. So you can have, for example, what we're aiming for communities in 6 months to do some heavy cleaning. So in 6 months, if you can organize yourself, you have the businesses in communities working with you, you partner with whether it be the Ministry of Local Government, the regional development councils, the NDCs, and the businesses, their faith-based organizations, and within 6 months. So what we're also encouraging you to do is perhaps to have a billboard. If you can get a sponsor to do a billboard in your community and show your community what it is now and what you would like it to be in 6 months. Not necessarily in 6 months, but in 6 months and beyond. And so on one side of that billboard, you can have a photograph of, or a drawing, a picture, however they're going to do it, of what the community looks like now. And then what you would like the community to look like in the future, let's say 6 months from now. What we will also encourage is for you to put the steps that you will be taking to get to that point in 6 months. So step number one, we're going to organize, put a group together, or put a leadership team together and develop a plan. Step number two, we're going to build partnerships with the churches, the Ministry of Local Government, the RDCs, the Regional Development Councils, the NDCs, the Neighborhood Democratic Council, the village councils. And so step number two. Step number three, conduct activities in your communities. What activities? Some of those activities can be weeding, cleaning drains, tree trimming, planting flowers, planting, we're also encouraging planting vegetables and so on. You have space and so on. Once you clean up, you can then plant vegetables. You can plant, so you don't have to buy all your vegetables from the market. And you have then plant vegetables, have maybe to work with the Ministry of Local Government to remove the old vehicles and old iron and furniture and equipment from your communities. So step number three could be all of those things. Step number four, if you are able to, let's say, gather up all of the old furniture, you're able to clean the drains, trim the trees, then you will have a lot of debris, a lot of waste. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can for to be removed out of your community. And this is where the Ministry of Local Government in particular and the Regional Democratic Council, the NDCs, will come in. Because you would need to, once you clean the drains and you clean your communities, you trim the trees, you've identified where the old vehicles are, and you've organized to remove these old vehicles, then you would need these materials or waste to be removed out of your community. So this is where step number 4, work with the Ministry of Local Government, the RDCs, the NDCs, to remove the waste from the drains, from the trees, from the old vehicles, the old vehicles, the old furniture, out of your community. So this is where that could be activity number 4. Activity number 5 could be let's say, maintaining. What system would you put in place for sustainability, for maintaining a clean and healthy community? And so that could be where you now have, for example, remember I said that every community should have about 4 persons who are doing landscaping. For example, I mentioned in one of the previous programs that before, when we had larger families they cleaned the yards regularly. They could have done all of those things because families had 5 persons, 6 persons, 8 persons, 10 persons. So there were what we call chores which were done by families could now be provided as services in communities. And so some communities are not maintained because it's difficult for a family with 2 persons or a 1-person family, a 3-person family to cook, clean yards, and do everything. So if communities are organized to provide services, then it doesn't matter if you have a 1-member family or a 2-member family, then your communities can be well kept because services are now provided in these communities. And so I'm also touching on creating a service industry in communities. So how can we also, 1, we are creating an environmental industry, and 2, we're creating a service industry. So let's talk a little more about the environmental industry. You can also, there are lots of now hardware stores and supermarkets which are being established in communities. You can partner with those stores and hardware stores to develop an environmental industry in your community. There's a program that we have that we're starting. Every yard should have tools or must have tools. So go down to whether it be, I keep saying National Hardware because that's what I know, where I know National Hardware, you have Hampsons, go down to these places and purchase tools. You need a rake. Every yard should have a rake. Every yard should have a spade. Every yard should have maybe a hoe and a shovel, right? I would say a shovel. all right? Not necessarily the hoe, but a shovel. And so that you can do your own, while the landscaping service will be done, let's say once a month. You can still do your own individual cleaning because you have tools. So every yard should have tools. So go partner with these. Your communities can partner with these businesses so that you can be able to purchase tools in bulk, for example, purchase tools wholesale for your communities. So basically what I'm saying is we can organize ourselves to develop our dream Guyana, our dream community, our dream families, our dream lives. And so there's some things that, we complain and we say, oh, this is not being done and that is not being done. But on this program, what we're going to try to do on this program is to get you to reimagine your life, or really reimagine your lives and what you can do for your families and for your communities. And so we're so in terms of the building environmental industry, and I'm also encouraging businesses that are selling tools, partner with communities so that they can so that communities can develop an environmental industry, because part of developing that environmental industry is that businesses, you have the tools available, you provide services and products, and these communities can purchase these services and products for their environmental program. And so we have an environmental industry in Guyana that we're able to create. The other thing that is important is consistency. So maybe once per month. So once you have this leadership group, this leadership group can then work with identifying, let's say, or work with identifying or building the skills of 4 persons in the community to develop 4 landscaping businesses. So there is always somebody in your community who can provide landscaping services, whether it be tree trimming, whether it be cleaning drains, cleaning yards, and it's a business. It's a business that they're earning from. And we're also encouraging residents to pay for these services. So I would say if you pay $2,000 a month, if you have 100 customers in a community and 100 customers that is who are paying $2,000 a month, that is 100 by 2, that is $200,000 per month. Even if you have 50 customers per month and they're paying $2,000 per month for this service, this landscaping service, that is $100,000 per month. And you wouldn't have to do this every day. And maybe if there are 4 persons, you have somebody who's working with you. So that's employment for 8 persons per community. And the money comes from the community. So the 2,000 could be for basic service, cleaning the yard weeding the yard every month, and maybe clearing the drains. Or maybe you can add on an extra for clearing the drains, tree trimming, that's an extra cost. So every month people may not need to trim the trees, but these services are available in the community. It creates employment and it maintains the community in terms of making it more environmentally friendly and healthier and cleaner. So the other thing that could be done, there's this program, like I said, that we're going to start, that we call it the This Is How We Do It. It's a cleanup program, so that to add some fun to how you're to the cleanup program. So this is how we do it. So you're able to show how you do it in Maka Arcadia, how you how you maintain an environmentally friendly community in Supply on the East Bank, how you maintain an environmentally friendly community in Henrietta in Essequibo. So so those are programs that we would like to do with you and encourage you to do, right? On the other programs, I will be talking more about them, and hopefully we can do some modules so that you can perhaps go to my YouTube page. You'll be able to go to my YouTube page and access these modules, and you can organize these programs yourselves, or you can call me and we can provide you with some assistance in terms of how to organize these programs. And so we so that's for the environmentally developing an environmental industry in your community. And then we would like to, this feeds into developing the service industry. So every community, we have a program that we're promoting. It's called Every Citizen a Resource. So what we're promoting under that program is that every citizen should have about 3 skills that you can earn from. So for example, you may be a policeman, and when you're off and on weekends, you have a landscaping business. So you're able to you pick up your tools and you're earning from your landscaping business. Or you may have some persons working with you, and while you were working, so you're able to earn that additional income. So what my question to you is, what are your 3 skills from which you can earn? You may be, like I said, you may be a policeman, but you know how to do landscaping also. You may also know how to do plumbing. I'll come to plumbing in a minute. And I think, you know, and this is where maybe GWI, Guyana Water Inc., can there be a program where more plumbers are trained at the community level as a part of developing the community service industry? For example, at Coverdale on the East Bank, where I'm from, since last year, I've been trying to contact the Guyana Water Inc. about a pipe that is leaking. We're now in June. That was since around November. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. That's about 8 months that pipe has been running in our community. This is at Coverdale. So perhaps if we have a program where we're able to train more plumbers as a part of developing a community service industry in Guyana. So at the level of the community would have plumbers. Every community should have maybe 4 plumbers, I would say. So when there is, and this will help in terms of water conservation. So when we talk about water conservation, there's a practical side to that. Like I said, that pipe has been running in Coverdale since November of last year. And I'm sure if I go there now, the pipe will still be running. And I've reported it. I've informed GWI a couple of times about the water that is being wasted. So, and this is a pipe that they have to fix because it's beyond the fence. So can we train at least 4 plumbers at the level of every community or most communities, even if it's every other village, at least? So once there is the plumbers will be able to It provides employment, skilled employment also, because these plumbers, these persons will be trained, and they're trained as plumbers, and they'll be able to provide that as a service in communities. So the Guyana Water Inc., if you're listening to the program, perhaps you can think of the idea. I'm more than happy to work with this with you, or you may want to implement it yourselves. So that's fine. But as a part of developing a community service industry, communities need skilled persons. Communities have skilled persons, but those skilled persons provide those skills very often outside of the community. But this is where we need to train sufficient persons in communities so that they can provide these services outside of their communities, as well as within their communities. So that's one. So that's two. One, every community should have at least 4 persons who are trained to do landscaping. Every community should have persons who are trained as plumbers. Every community, or most communities. And then, so that provides employment immediately for 8 persons. If those persons who are doing landscaping, they have somebody who's supporting them, that is employment for 12 persons in communities from landscaping and plumbing alone. And then we can look at other areas, such as other services, other skills, which are needed in communities. And this is where, on one of my previous programs, I talked about working with communities, or communities rather, developing sustainable development and economic development plans. So in your community sustainable development and economic development plans, you can do what we call in development a mapping of the skills which are needed in your community. So when I say mapping, I mean it's just like when you map, you kind of list rather. Okay, so the supply on the East Bank community, we need 4 plumbers. We need to be trained. We need 4 persons to be trained as landscaping. We need 4 carpenters to be trained. So in your community development and economic development plan, you have a list of the training that you would like to the persons in your, or people in your community, to be trained in. And so even as you, very often ministries and other government agencies, they would have training, but this could be done in a more structured way, where you now know that you need 4 persons to be trained in carpentry, 4 persons to be trained as masons, 4 persons to be trained as in landscaping, 4 persons to be trained as plumbers, 4 persons to be trained as in first aid. So if something happens, you have people in the community who you can call if there is a basic something simple, where you don't necessarily have to go to the doctor or to the health center, or you that you have persons in the community who are trained in first aid. And so what am I talking about? I'm talking about how can we as citizens build more structure into our families, into our communities. Remember, we're building our dream Guyana. And we're not just leaving it up to the government to do everything. We're also doing our part. We're reimagining our Guyana. We're reimagining our lives and the roles that we can play in terms of realizing our dreams instead of sitting down and waiting for the government or somebody else to do it. So in that community sustainable development and economic development plan, you will have the skills that you need in your community. For example, you if you live in a riverine area, for example, you may need at least 4 persons, or both men, both women, because women should also be trained in these areas. So you have at least 4 persons in the community. Something happens, you need to get in a boat and get to the doctor, to the health center. But mostly in these riverine areas, people already have these skills. But nevertheless, I am sometimes they have the skills, but a little bit of training, additional training would also help. So in your community, what are the skills that you would need in your community for your community to be more structured, for it to have more for the development to be sustainable, for you to have economic development in your community? I'm not talking on Tuesdays. I'll be talking about developing an environmental industry, developing community service industry, community development planning. And on Thursdays, I'm going to deal with land matters, law and legal matters, family, developing financial and economic stability. So on Thursdays, I'll be dealing with those things. Developing the family as an industry. So what do I mean by developing the family as an industry? Remember, I say every citizen a resource. The program, Every Citizen is a resource. So every member of your family is a resource. And every member of your family should have at least 3 skills from which they yes, every member in your family should have at least 3 skills from which they can earn. And so when we talk about developing a family industry, and when we talk about developing a family industry, we're looking at the family as a business, or developing the business of the family. Because at some point, it comes down to the business of the family, paying the rent, paying the mortgage, paying the water bill, paying the rates and taxes, paying the all of these different things. But these things I'll talk about on Thursdays. And so I am sharing ideas with you as to how we can reimagine our lives. You know, very often our politics consume our lives. So one of the things I've been saying to somebody recently is that there's politics, and there's life and living. This program focuses on life and living. How we can help you to achieve your goals and objectives. We call them your dreams. And so it's provoking you to good works. It's sharing with you. These are some of the things that you've probably never thought about. Maybe you're sitting waiting on the NDC to come and initiate a program for you. Maybe you're waiting on the RDC to come and initiate a program for you. Maybe you're waiting on the government to come and initiate a program for you. But what we'll be sharing with you on this program here, and I'm hoping we can work with communities. I'm hoping that we can have at least 50 communities that we can work with. And in terms of well-being, I was looking at the news today, and I saw that I think it was the Minister of Health in one of the newspapers was mentioning that we have a serious drug use problem among young people. We'll also be focusing on well-being and all of these different things, because I've already given you new areas that 12 persons in your community can that can create employment for 12 persons in your community. And so very often these issues such as drug abuse and drug use, these they are linked to something. The causes are linked to something. And so as we rethink how we do families, as we rethink how we do community, as we rethink how we live our own lives, maybe this will also help in terms of well-being. The other point I'd like to make is in terms of the developing the family as an industry. Families can also start landscaping businesses. Families can also start, you can start a plumbing business as a family in communities. You can, in this, as you identify what are the needs in your community. Yes, we need plumbers, we need carpenters, we need masons, we need people who will do landscaping. We need people who will do I'm trying to think of some of the services that you would need in community, apart from the services which are already being provided. Because, for example, you will go to the health center for medical treatment. There are pharmacies in communities already. There is, so what can you, and when you do your community development, economic development plan, you will, based on the goals and the objectives of your community, you will need certain services. And so, for example, the communities that I'm working with, those communities are built around 3 economic areas. They're built around tourism, agriculture, and semi-industrial. Because of the physical location of those communities, they're built around those 3 economic areas. And then there other things are being done too, but as a collective, we focus on agriculture, tourism, and semi-industrial. And we do the same planning I'm telling you about. We do this kind of planning. We have plans, we have timelines within which we would like to achieve things. Sometimes we don't get to achieve them within those timelines, but what is important is that we have a plan and we have the timelines, and we also have sources of finance, sources of funding. Where are we going to get the money from to do these things? You also need that. So you need the budget, but you also need sources of financing. Where are you going to get the money from to do the activities that you have in your community development and economic development plan? And on Thursday, I'll talk about one of the things we're promoting is developing a family development fund. A family development fund where families contribute towards a development fund. And so perhaps one of the things also is that to develop your landscaping business, maybe you can explore with this small brew if you can access funding, startup funding to purchase your weeding machine, your tools, etc. Maybe you may have a pressure washer. You may want to do pressure washing, right? And so you can, maybe you'll be able to get some funding from the Small Business Bureau to purchase those things. So explore that. And they explore that possibility rather. And then the other thing that you can, that I'd like to talk about is the, in terms of the religious organizations in communities. For example, a church might decide to establish a landscaping business, which would provide employment for members of that church. A mosque may decide to establish a landscaping business, which would provide employment for members of that mosque. Likewise, a Hindu temple, etc. So, because these are already organizations, and so they may want to, and they have members, so they may want to, one of the things I've been saying, and I'll talk more about this on Thursday, every church should have an economic development plan for your members. You would have those members who have their own economic and financial stability. You would have families in your church, in your mosques, in your temples, who already have a plan or who already have economic and financial stability. But it would help if as a church, as a mosque, as a temple, you can organize your church, your mosque, your temple around also helping your members to be economically and financially stable. But I'll talk more about this on Thursday. And this is, I'm not saying that churches and mosques and temples don't do a lot for their members, but very often it's more in a philanthropic way. It's more philanthropy. It's more, but it's not necessarily in a sustainable way where you work with them, where you organize for them to be trained, for example, in landscaping, in plumbing, in carpentry and masonry, so that they can go off and have their own financial and economic and financial independence and stability. And so we're encouraging religious organizations to have economic development plans for your members. And or you can also have timelines. Some of these programs have discussions with your members as to what, in terms of the Every Citizen a Resource concept or program. and help them to develop at least 3 skills from which they can earn. But this is Thursday's program, not today's program. Today's program, we're focusing on developing an environmental industry, developing a community service industry, and we're focusing on community development planning, community development and economic development planning. So these are some of the areas that we would like to share with you on this program. This program is Development at Work. From next week, I'm hoping that I can have some guests. I'm hoping also that we can have people on this program who will be able to provide you with technical expertise. Because I believe that while we need political leadership, communities also need technical leadership. What I provide for my community is technical leadership. And so I'm hoping that we can have people and that you will be able to identify people in your community also who can provide technical leadership. And so I'm not saying that that professionals are not providing technical leadership, but I find that it is absolutely necessary if communities are going to have more structure as it relates to their development, as it relates to both to their social, cultural, and economic development. So I've been going way over the hour mark, and so I'd like to end this program within the 1 hour mark, and I'm just about there. So if you would like to contact me, my number is in the chat. My number is 592-694-5585. And my email is Tomo, THOMOGY, @yahoo.com. And I'm Audreyanna Thomas, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to have our graphics up and all of that. But we're now getting started, and we're starting where we are with the basics. So development must not only be seen, but it must be felt. And so the groups that I'm working with, I'll leave you with this. We have a plan, or a vision rather, a mission. It's more a mission that by 2030, we must have, as individuals, economic and financial stability and independence. Our families must have economic and financial stability and independence. Our community must have economic and financial stability and independence. And so one of the things we discussed, we said, doesn't matter who gets into government come 2030, we must not be waiting on our party to get into government to get a job or to have economic and financial independence, because we're doing some things to create and we're reimagining our communities and our lives and our families so that we will have economic and financial independence, so that we are not dependent on our party getting in government or whichever party getting into government. But it's beyond the politics. It's more about, like I said, life and living. How can we live more successful lives, more fulfilling lives, and have greater well-being? And it doesn't just happen like that. We have to actively be involved and participate. On Thursday, we'll be talking more about developing a family development fund. We'll be talking about building financial security into your lives in terms of getting medical insurance, life insurance. If you're self-employed, getting a pension plan, finding out from the insurance companies what services they have that finding out from the banks how you can develop, establish the family development fund, and what can you use that money for. So I leave you on that note. Join me again on Thursday at 7 p.m. when we talk more about the roles that we can play to build our dream families, build our dream lives, build our dream communities, and to build our dream Guyana. Thank you for joining me on this program. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Do take care. Goodbye.